I would even say the higher number of 50,000 a year would be fine. I mean, I think an initial agreement, let's say like a 10-year agreement, will accept up to 500,000 people, 50,000 at a time, and it could also on the Israeli side, it could cover the settlers that are already there, like 50,000 a year of them could become Palestinian citizens or dual citizens that are in there. And if additional people want to move, they could be within that number, you know.
I would actually, like, if I was in the Palestinian government, I would actually put no limit on the number of Jews coming in. But I know not everyone will be me, but you're going to have a minimum number. So, for example, if the Israeli government comes tomorrow and says, oh, we don't want any more, we know there's a limit by which they cannot reduce it. So I would like to have a minimum number. And the rest, like for me, if I was a leader, I would open the doors. I would say anyone who wants to move into Palestine, any Jew is welcome.
Yeah, definitely. The economy of Israel is pretty good. I think they should. I think that's how they should build up the Palestinian state, like taking all these settlers that are living there, making 10 times the money the Palestinians are, just put them in the tax system, and then Palestine now has some, a bunch of people who are working who live there, and they could develop up the region together, and I think it'd be good for the Palestinians.
Look, but the biggest problem right now is the fact that the West Bank and Gaza are closed off. They don't even need to do that much. They don't even need to put them in the tax system. If you have free movement of labor and people, the market will decide, and Palestinians will be able to work. You cannot have an economy based on one city that's closed off. You just can't. But if you have free movement of labor and people, then Palestinian industry can compete fairly. Right now, they can't compete fairly. They can only buy from Israel. They can't sell easily to Israel. So it's an unequal situation that's destroyed the economy. I personally, I wouldn't ask for any special favors. I just want to compete equally.
I agree, but the thing is, Israel's currently controlling this huge area of the Palestinian state, this Area C, and there's people talking maybe Israel should annex it, but I think that would literally create South Africa here, that's an idea, but at the same time, it's a really messed up situation in areas, because you have it under military law. You have to, if you want to expand like a room in your house, you have to talk to the army. That's a ridiculous situation for a bunch of people. Yeah, it's a mess there. So you need to transition. What are we gonna do with Area C, and who's in charge of it, and how could we share it? And I think that would be the first step is, put some kind of joint agreement covering Area C that's cooperative between the Israelis and Palestinians, and then work on dividing it up. Parts go to Israel, what parts go to Palestine, what part gets traded for it, and do some kind of step by step. But I think it first would start with some kind of cooperative management agreement for Area C.
To me, talking about these details, at this point, when we went to Israel-Palestine last time, and when we did these conferences that I thought were successful, and then I came back to the U.S. and I said, well, what happens now? What do we do now? And it seems like the momentum kind of died. And, on the Palestinian side, the leadership is not asking for a shared future. Certainly the Israeli side is not asking for it. Netanyahu, they don't really want it. And I just don't know, how do we get to a point where we can have this discussion other than just me and you and a couple of other people talking about it. That's why I don't engage in details as much as before, because I don't really find that we're on any track or on any street that's getting us there. And so, in the past I thought, look, we can go after the most orthodox, or the people that would be considered the most extreme in Israel, because they may be the easiest people to make a deal with. Because I know they're opposed to separation, so we'll tell them, look, we'll accept your rights, but you fight for our rights. And I read about this new guy that's supposedly... Go ahead. I read about this new guy that supposedly Netanyahu is scared of. He's like a right-winger. He's like this millionaire guy, this young one. Like to me.
Yeah, I'm in that party. I know those guys.
I mean, I would actually, if I was in a situation, I would try to go and deal with him and say, look, I know you're opposed to separation. Can we reach a deal? But I mean, how do people like me and you, how do people like you and me, and the other people who support us or share ideas like Yehuda and all our other immediate friends, how do we get to a point where we're even having a national discussion? Right now, we're not having a national discussion. I mean,
you also have to target the left too. That's the other obstacle. The left in Israel is pushing for separation more than the right would be more open to this sort of thing. I think, but I'll tell you what the guy on the right thinks.
My question is, I'm just wondering, like, how do we even have a discussion that's not just you and me or me and you? I mean, we're not talking. We're not part of the national discussion right now. And that's what I kind of got. I came back after the last trip and I thought about it. I said, well, what do we do now? What's the next step? And I don't know the answer to that. And this is what constantly perplexes me, is where do we go from here? How do we turn this into a national discussion?
I think it needs to go on in both sides. I mean, that's somehow we got to do it. There needs to be some kind of feedback, because that's sort of what happens here. The Palestinians had this anti-normalization movement, this idea, and the two ideas of what are going on the Palestinian side are either we should fight with Israel until we take it all over, which is ridiculous, and then the other one is we're going to negotiate, but they're going to, they're being a little bit stubborn, but it's not so bad. You can't blame them terribly. But now Mahmoud Abbas is being pulled towards being more hardline because that's what's popular on the street. And in the street in Palestine, they don't want Israelis anymore. They want to fight. And the Israelis, the liberals here who would be open to let's have peace and love and let's all live together. The liberals, they're getting picked on by the right wingers, and the right wingers haha, you see, you're right. The Palestinians, they don't want peace with us. They want to fight us. There's nothing, what we need to do. And the right wingers, they don't want to give up the West Bank. They think it's it's a security issue, and a lot of them, especially the Bayit Hayudi party, the party you were talking about. There are a lot of guys who live in the settlements, and they're religiously attached to the area, and also, but the guy who was in charge of that, he's actually pretty cool. He said, in some ways, he said that he's against kicking to evacuate anybody. He thinks it's a violation of their human rights. But his idea was that he wanted to annex the Area C to the state of Israel and just leave it like that somehow, which I don't think would actually work. But at least within the area.
If you want to annex, that's the whole thing. I mean, they pretty much emptied Area C of people, so to annex it would be unfair. But you mentioned something about Abbas being pushed to the right. See, one thing Israelis don't understand, they just simply don't understand, is Abbas, who was probably, the best partner Israel could have had. Now, I don't support the two-state, but let's say I did. He's probably the best partner you could have had, but for almost a decade since he's been in power, he's been begging Israel to improve the life of movement of people, of labor, and not one request did they agree that he asked. He said, look, for example, the checkpoint in Ramallah is a nightmare. He said, look, make it easy for people to travel. They constantly tell him no. So here he's been there for 10 years. He's produced nothing. And then Hamas comes around. They throw missiles, and as part of the ceasefire agreement, they give Hamas stuff. Whereas, for example, so Hamas now has easier access to the sea. That's part of the deal. They have easier movement. Oh, and Israel just announced that they will not have the same restrictions on concrete to Gaza. That's part of the ceasefire agreement. There'll be easier movement of people with and out of Egypt. So, okay, it seems like the only way that the Palestinians can achieve anything is through fighting. Because here in the West Bank, Abbas has been basically begging Israel for 10 years to improve the lives of the Palestinians, and Israel constantly says no. And then you wonder why he reaches a point where he says, fuck you, basically, because he has to produce, and he's not producing shit. And if he can't produce shit, his only option for survival is to say, you know what, we're not going to talk to him. At least he says, okay, we're not just wasting our time, and he's not seen as a weakling. See, this is what I can't understand. Those Israelis who are opposed to separation, why don't they focus on improving the daily lives of Palestinians? Make it easy for them to travel. Make it easy for them to work. These are easy things to do. Why don't they do it?
Yeah, I agree with you that people don't get practical steps. The far left is like, we can't do anything. We need to like evacuate all the settlements right now. And the right wingers are like, you guys are crazy. The Palestinians, they want to bomb us. They can't talk to them anyways. And it's like a circle. They don't get shit done either. It's like our whole politics is pretty messed up. They need somebody who's practical and saying, listen, we need to fix this thing step by step. Let's start with, making it easier for people to get around, coming to some kind of temporary agreement with what to do with this area that's in dispute, start dividing up how we're going to share it, and make some realistic moves. But beyond the line, and they want to make a state, and now they made it like a personal conflict between Israelis. Like if you're pro-peace, you're pro-kicking the settlers out of their houses. So it created this like social conflict. It's a weird thing that they did. So it needs to be like.
And that's why I say, Rafi, I don't know. I'm really stuck. I don't know where do we go from here. How does our movement expand? I have no idea anymore, other than moving over there and working on this, which is difficult for me because, I can't even get a visa to go there for 3 months. And then the question is, how do I live there? So where do you, me, and Yehuda, and the people who support this vision, I feel like we're faltering. I feel like we're not accomplishing anything.
Yeah, I don't know. Should make a political party maybe, but it's too late before this election, man. It's happening too soon.
Well, I thought maybe like Yehuda or you or somebody should run for the Knesset, even if you don't win.
Yeah.
Even if you don't win, but if you make that your platform, then maybe, we need a national discussion about it. That's what we need, a national discussion. And we need to have...
And also on the Palestinian side, too.
No, we need it. Without a doubt, we need it on both sides. We need to just have a discussion. Maybe if you get in the Knesset, you'd be able to hire me as an assistant in your office, and at least I would have a visa, and we can work on this together. But, this is at the end of the day, and that's why, I'm hoping, after my wife has a child and I'm able to visit again, I'm really hoping, you would be able to, we'd work on trying to get meetings with some of the hardline people, like this new guy, and like that guy Danny something. I can't remember. Yeah, these guys are opposed to separation. Now they're also, they come off as opposed to Palestinians, but if we give them a better vision, maybe they'll understand. But in the meantime, they need to make life better. Maybe if they start allowing Palestinians better, easy access to work and to movement, maybe they won't be asking for separation anymore. Put yourself in their place. They're stuck in a place where they have no rights. Why wouldn't they want separation now? It seems like it's their only option. I just don't understand Israel, and I'm hoping some Israeli will explain it, but I can't understand it.
Well, because they want separation, because they want to keep the Jewish majority in the country of Israel, and they want to keep it, a representation for their people. So that's like large portion of the electorate really wants solution. But the right wing that doesn't want it is convincing the people like in the middle that really want two-state solution that it's impossible. And so therefore they need to have these like hardcore security measures and whatever. And where the right's real plan is to keep it all somehow. But they haven't really figured out how. So it's a crazy situation. We need to also, I guess, approach the sort of the farther left and sort of the Settlers for Peace movement, the Chalet movement. I'm trying to make friends with those guys.
There's electrical shortages.
And they're like a group of settlers that are trying to live as neighbors with the Palestinians, and they support the idea of like them staying in the Palestinian state and becoming part of the Palestinian state. And so you get like those guys and some people like the liberal guys. And then you could try to go after
we'll have to talk about tonight.
The mainstream religious Zionist community. I think you gotta do it like around. You gotta hit the various niches within Israeli culture. I was thinking of doing a documentary on this whole concept of a shared future. So we should do that.
Assuming we wanted to do two sister political parties. One in Israel and one in Palestine that deals with this. I wonder how easy it is to create one in Israel.
It's not too hard, like maybe $10,000 or something. And I was talking to Yehuda about it. We were thinking about this kind of a party, and it's a big project, I guess. And then also you need like all the time and stuff. We'd have to find people that were interested. To like help us run this and manage it and invest in it.
Well,
I think it would be a good idea.
I'm always interested in media events because to me, it doesn't matter if you do something if no one knows about it. And maybe the next time I'm there, our next press conference should be the creation of these two parties in Israel and Palestine. And, we'll have the press conference maybe like in Jerusalem or something.
The thing is with them, like, get kicked out of their government. I mean, in Israel we could get away with it, but how would that be flying the Palestine side? Like, I don't know. They're like pretty hardcore. Like, what do you mean? You want a party that's going to work everything out with Israel? That doesn't sound like, that's not hip,
Okay, I mean, but that's fine. I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's the thing. We'll work on it in Palestine, you work on it in Israel, and we'll try to make it happen. And that could be our next project. I mean, maybe you and Yehuda should continue just seeing how to do it, and I'll find people, and we continue trying to figure out what happened in Palestine, and the next time I'm there, we'll do this press conference for the creation of this party.
Yeah, sounds good. That does sound good. I don't know. I'll talk to you.
I think you should talk to Yehuda about it. And if he's serious about it, if he's willing to work towards your end, I can find people to work towards it on my end. And we can start just letting that be the only focus of our chat rooms. Like, I mean, right now our Facebook chat rooms, we talk about nothing useful anymore. So I'm saying maybe we can take all these chat rooms, Yehuda's and ours, and just focus on the party, on the idea of this party. And, and no matter what the others want to talk about, we just talk about that. And we just create a momentum for a few months on Facebook, just talking about the coming party that we're creating. And try to get people that way.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So why don't you talk to Rafi about it? Why don't you talk to Rafi? I mean, to Yehuda about it.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Yeah, that sounds cool, man. I don't know. Okay. I was also gonna think about this.
Go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
I was thinking of doing this documentary. Right? I wanted to do like a documentary series, like a bunch of videos.
Yeah.
With like, and get a couple different organizations together, like the Free Muslim Coalition, Yehuda's group, maybe the Settlers for Peace group and do like a joint project that we would all promote of like all these videos about a shared future, you know? And we get a little publicity and maybe.
That would be cool. I mean, as many things as possible that we can put on YouTube. I mean, it will be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we can make all these videos and like have build up some kind of momentum with all these organizations, and maybe we get all these organizations together to form a party, you know, like a sort of shared future party.
All right, well, look, let that be our goal. So you talk to Yehuda about it, and I mean, whoever you want to, and if you're interested, we can just make that our goal. We can just make that our goal, because right now we don't have a goal. We just have these. You know, we have a bunch of lunatics on both our groups and all our groups who are just fighting for the sake of fighting.
Can you hear me?
And it's useless. And
no
one's being convinced by the other. And my wife just told me that she made some hummus, so
I have.
We're gonna go eat some hummus.
I have.
I can hear you, but it's.
Lucky you, man.
She made some breakfast.
Okay, 1 second. Let me.
Yeah, so she made some breakfast. So I want to go eat.
Yeah, I hear you.
So we're gonna be doing in February. We're gonna be doing February, but please talk to Yehuda and let me know what you both think.
Okay, sure, man. And we'll do this. Sounds cool.
All right, take care, my friend.
All right, have a good morning and stuff.
1 second, Kareem.
What?
You too. Peace.
1 second.
Bye.